Welcome to Access Credit Union's annual general meeting. The meeting will begin in 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Lutkin, Board Chair of Access Credit Union, and it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each of you. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded for documentation purposes. In the event that there are any technical difficulties that prohibit us from completing the meeting will be adjourned and reconvened within 7 days. More information would be shared directly with registered attendants should that occur. The first item on our agenda is to call the annual general meeting to order at 7 p.m. Panelists with me today include Larry Davey, President and CEO, Myrna Weeb, Corporate Secretary, Don Borges, VP, Marketing and Communications, and Kristen Whitman from Taylor McCaffrey. We acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 1 territories and that we live and work throughout Manitoba on Treaty 1, Treaty 2, Treaty 3 territories, the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, Lakota, Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration to make Manitoba an inclusive and accessible place for everyone who lives here. The other members of our board attending virtually this evening include Terrace Babick, Scott Beatty, Catherine Burns, Paul Cuthbert, Justin Evenden, Jameson Moss, Marlene Michno, Jim Neufeld, Robert Riddell, Randy Shartner, and Sherry Woods. First, all attendees except presenters have been muted and chat features have been disabled. There will be 9 motions during this evening's meeting: appointing a parliamentarian, appointing a scrutineer, approving the agenda, approving the 2024 AGM minutes, approving the financial statement and auditor's reports, appointing external auditors, ratifying the actions of the Board of Directors, destroying the electronic ballots for the director election, and closing the meeting. This information was included in the AGM guide distributed to registered attendees. I will announce each motion with a mover and then present for a member vote. No seconder will be required for the motions. When the motion is put to the membership, a voting platform will take over the screen. Meeting attendees who are eligible to vote are asked to select a response from the options provided and click submit. Guests are not eligible to vote. We will allow at least 15 seconds for member responses. At the end of the polling time frame, I will advise if the motion is carried or defeated. Results will also be displayed on the screen. We will collect questions throughout the meeting. To ask a question, please find the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Type in your question and click submit. Our corporate secretary, Myrna Weave, will review the questions for meeting relevancy and language and will provide those to me for a scheduled question and answer session. We will also allow all participants to unmute themselves during the Q&A session to take questions from the floor after we have responded to questions submitted through the Q&A button. As noted in the AGM guide, only those questions pertaining to this meeting's business will be addressed during the meeting. If you have specific questions about your account, please contact our Member Services Solution Center or your local branch during regular operating hours. The agenda for this evening's meeting was posted on our corporate website, supplied to the meeting package to registered members, and was available in branch upon request, and is incorporated into the presentation for this evening. There are no changes to the published agenda. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge our guests. Diana Lumag from Deposit Guarantee Corporation of Manitoba, Kristen Whitman from Taylor McCaffrey, Reggie Vermette from Avenue 4, Craig Shikowski and Paul Bryson from Myers North Penny, MNP, our external auditors. Thank you for your attendance today. The second item on our agenda is to certify attendance and establish quorum. The bylaw states that quorum for members meeting is the number of members that is 50 more than the number of directors. Access Credit Union has 12 directors plus 50. Quorum would be 62 members. Our attendance at this meeting currently is 160, and this would constitute quorum. The third item on our agenda is to certify notice of the annual general meeting of members. In accordance with our bylaws, notice of meeting was published in the Winnipeg Free Press, in rural print media, on our corporate website, on social media, and on our branches a minimum of 14 days prior to this date, with both quorum and proper notice given. I declare this AGM of Access Credit Union open for business. The fourth item on the agenda is announcing a recording secretary for this meeting. In accordance with clause 5.16 of the bylaws, the board has approved Stacy Bonato as recording secretary. The fifth agenda item is to appoint a parliamentarian. Jameson Moss has moved that we appoint Kristen Whitman of Taylor McCaffrey as parliamentarian. I will now present this motion to membership. On your screen, there is a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. There will be 15 seconds allotted to record any replies. The motion is passed. The sixth agenda item is to appoint a scrutineer. Sherry Woods has moved that we appoint Reggie Vermette of Avenue 4 Communications as scrutineer. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there is a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. There will be 15 seconds allotted to record any replies. The motion is carried. The seventh agenda item is to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. As noted in my opening remarks, the agenda for today's meeting was posted on our corporate website, was available in hard copy format, and was provided in the meeting packages to registered attendees, and is now displayed on your screen. Robert Riddell has moved the acceptance of the agenda as published. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there is a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. There will be 15 seconds again allotted to record any responses. Again, that motion is carried. The eighth agenda item is to approve the minutes of the 2024 annual general meeting. Copies of the minutes were distributed in advance of the meeting to registered attendees. Catherine Burns has moved to approve the 2024 annual general meeting minutes held on April 16th, 2024. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there's a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. There will be 15 seconds allotted to any replies. The motion is carried. Our next agenda item is the Board of Directors report. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Access Credit Union, I want to thank you, the members, for your continued support this past year. Following 2 years dedicated to amalgamations with Noventus and Sonova in 2022, and Casera, Carpathia, and Amaranth in 2023, 2024 focused on aligning business processes in the legacy credit unions and building the culture of the new Access. This process has been exciting and has opened up new opportunities that we can all be proud of. Opportunities such as corporate sponsorship with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, support of the St. Boniface Hospital Research Foundation and Children's Hospital, and Elm Creek Arena, and many more. Building communities is one of our key principles, and in 2024, Access Credit Union was recognized as the outstanding corporate philanthropist by the Association of Manitoba Professionals of Philanthropy, and it's an honor that all members can be proud of. From a business standpoint, we strive to offer the most competitive rates and services in the province, delivered with the friendly expertise of staff who know us as neighbors, whose children play on the same teams, and who attend the same community functions. We're proud of our employees who greet you with a smile and are happy to serve our more than 200,000 members across Manitoba. While we see polarization amongst countries and individuals increasing, our hope is, as an organization, to be a place of stability, a place where members can trust their assets are safe, and where they are respected as people, no matter their background or life story. Looking ahead, we know that 2025 contains uncertainty ranging from the effects of tariffs, global conflicts, to increased cyber threats and the expansion of artificial intelligence. Spending on technology is becoming more crucial and more expensive. In fact, in 2023, one of the big five banks in Canada spent almost $725 million just on AI research alone. These costs are going to continue to increase, making it difficult for smaller financial institutions to compete. And what is a small financial institution? Someone recently mentioned to me that in the future, they see $30 billion as the bare minimum it would take to be able to compete in the financial sector. We expect there will be continued amalgamations in the Manitoba system, which is now down to 15 credit unions, down from 75 a mere 30 years ago. And the recent amalgamation of three of the largest credit unions in Manitoba to form another similar credit union to Access, one with both urban and rural agriculture backgrounds. And we expect amalgamations both provincially and nationally to continue. As we move ahead, know that your board's focus is on providing our members with excellent service and creating a credit union that we can all be proud of. Before I turn it over to our CEO and President, Larry Davie, I want to take this opportunity to recognize Larry, who will be retiring at the end of August. Larry joined Access Credit Union back in 2012, and since that time has grown the organization from the 4th largest in Manitoba to the 6th largest in Canada. A credit union that at the time had $1.4 billion in assets and today has $13.4 billion in assets. Larry will be missed, and we value the many contributions that he has made not only to Access, but to the Manitoba and Canadian credit union system. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Larry for the President and CEO report.
Thanks, Kurt, and thanks for the kind words. In 2023, I described the year as foundational for Access Credit Union. Our investments in building a new organization for all Manitobans, guided by the board of directors, reflected the changing landscape of financial services across Canada. Increasing transactional costs, greater demands for technology, higher expectations for frontline staff, more specialization required in back office positions were pressing interests for all credit unions, large and small. In setting a firm base for Access Credit Union in 2023, we knew that our shared futures would continue to be strong and prosperous. And I'm pleased to report 2024 is a validation of those expectations. Our ability to come together as a partnership of legacies has resulted in a more prosperous future for our members and our communities. And as they succeed, we continue to grow alongside them. The successful technical integration of both Casira and Carpathia legacy banking systems last summer represented the final merger-related activity required to bring all 200,000 members together on one platform. With that final step complete, members could now expect consistent service across all of our branches, our online platforms and mobile platforms, and our Member Solutions Center. It also reduced administrative inefficiencies and removed barriers for our staff to provide members and each other with A+ service. We're immensely grateful for the patience that our members provided during that transition, and we expect they will continue to benefit from the work for many years to come. The continued growth of communities throughout Manitoba represents an opportunity for Access to partner and grow, not only as a financial partner, but also as a significant investor in community aspirations. This year, Access and its subsidiaries reinvested almost $2.2 million back into important causes that serve Manitobans locally. Whether it was capital investments in hospitals across our area or investing in community centers that enable a wide demographic of participants, we know that our members hold great value in these initiatives, and we're pleased to play a significant role in supporting, promoting, and championing these exceptional opportunities. We're also investing in the future of our communities through our financial literacy program. This program attracted a significant partner in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and we continue to expand our efforts across all of Manitoba, recognizing that a financially literate population is more resilient in the face of fraud and financial stress. In 2024, we reached over 1,200 individuals, whether that was in school or in community groups, and we look forward to growing and expanding these educational opportunities in the future. Access Credit Union places a high priority on developing employees who act not just in their official capacities in serving members every day, but also as ambassadors for our organization in our communities. Their participation as active contributors through volunteerism, in their generous nature through our Genes for Charity program, and their commitment to serving our members across many different areas of interest reflect our values every day. It's not surprising that we were once again awarded top employer in Manitoba for the 10th year in a row. Being recognized for long-term commitment to the growth and development of all our employees reflects their efforts, and we are thankful for the hard work and dedication of all of our staff across the credit union and our subsidiaries. Both loan and deposit portfolios enjoyed substantial growth this year, bolstered by highly competitive rates, excellent service, and alignment of both our values and the values of those who bank with us. We are reaching more Manitobans than ever and building those relationships. We continue to see our business expand. Despite the volatility of changing interest rates throughout 2024, members have found Access to be a strong, stable financial partner, and our growth reflects the confidence they maintain in it. As we move past the mergers, we are now in a position to recognize opportunities to control expenses, either through redeployment of resources that were duplicated across our legacy organizations, or in the benefits of scale that provide us more leverage in reducing costs. We can also more effectively execute on legacy credit unions' plans to consolidate or close branches by serving those members with other nearby Access Credit Union locations. The impact of branch consolidations or closures is mitigated by offering more locations to provide service and through greater investments in channels where members find increasingly important. Members' behaviors continue to shift to virtual channels, and our investment in technologies and partners will continue to be significantly a priority, made more possible by the expertise that our large organization can provide. Our forward-looking projections continue to show promise. Access Credit Union is set for an even greater success as we ensure that those benefits are redistributed back to members who've made this possible. Whether it's our continued commitment to competitive pricing, investing in our communities, strengthening our technology and cybersecurity infrastructure, or developing and retaining a talented group of employees, we are positioned to achieve even greater things in the future. We continue to grow thanks to you, our members. We remain grateful for your business, and we look forward to serving you for many years to come. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Kurt.
Thank you, Larry. The 11th item on our agenda are the financial statements and auditor's report. Access Credit Union's summary financial statements and auditor's report were included in the annual report, and the full financial statements were provided in the registration package. The board is recommending the approval of the financial statements, and we won't get into details on any of the items covered. Marlene Mishnell moves that the 2024 financial statements and auditor's report be approved as circulated. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there's a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. There will again be 15 seconds allotted to record all replies. That motion is carried. The next agenda item is the appointment of external auditors. The board has recommended that MNP as auditors of Access Credit Union for the 2025 fiscal year. Scott Beatty moves that MNP be appointed external auditors for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there's a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response. That motion is carried. At Access Credit Union, we are the beneficiaries of a talented group of young people at Dakota Collegiate who, in partnership with Access Credit Union, have run a student-led credit union within their school. As part of our AGM this year, we are proud to present a report from Lancer Credit Union on their 2024 activities.
Welcome to our annual report. We are the Lancer Credit Union. For those who don't know who we are, the Lancer Credit Union is a student-run branch of Access, stationed in Dakota Collegiate. The services we offer in our credit union include opening checking and savings accounts, as well as term deposits like GICs. We also aim to educate the student body on financial topics through financial workshops and lessons. Exclusively to our members, we offer monthly promotions organized by our marketing and promotions team. As for how we've been running this past year, this year we started off with welcoming 38 new members, which totaled us to the current number of 140 existing members of the Lancer Credit Union. As for how we operate the credit union, our employees are separated into different teams. The team that has direct contact to our clients are the daily team. This team consists of 2 branch managers throughout the week, as well as 1 manager and 2 MSRs each day of the week. In addition to that team, we have a financial advisory and marketing team. For all positions, we have focused our training on customer service, financial literacy, cash handling, and preparing financial documents to ensure our members have the optimal experience coming into the credit union.
The marketing team has increased awareness among students by organizing promotions throughout the year, such as a draw to win AirPod, guess to win a gumball machine, and draw for an essential kit. The financial advisory team has educated students by providing practical financial tips, conducting workshops on financial literacy, and organizing interactive activities during school events to boost financial awareness.
The Lancer Credit Union Board of Directors are groups of students of Dakota Collegiate. Their goal is to give staff members an outside perspective on how the credit union could run smoother, and they provide us with feedback as well as suggestions to improve services that we offer.
On to our most recent event, we had Access Credit Union and the Blue Bombers come visit our school and host their financial literacy workshop early this March. And on behalf of our school, we would like to thank Access for taking time to educate our students on these important financial topics. Thank you to Access Credit Union for your continued support, especially Don Borges and the entire team at the St. Anne's branch. Welcome to
Thank you, Lancer Credit Union. It is exciting and awesome to see the work that you're doing. The next agenda item. For 2024, we are announcing that the Board of Directors has approved a total combined member rewards payout of $5.7 million for members. Members who have held surplus shares and common or preferred shares including membership shares, earned a dividend paid out in the form of surplus shares. This dividend was paid out on March 25th, 2025 at the following rate. Dividends paid on surplus shares were 2.1%, and dividends on common or preferred shares, excluding the membership shares, of 5.07%. Any share redemptions requested by members during the 2024 who met the criteria for consideration for redemption requests were also approved. Item 15 on the agenda relates to the ratifying of the actions of the board of directors since the last annual general meeting. Paul Cuthbert moves that the membership ratify the actions of the board since the 2004 general meeting. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there's a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. That motion is carried. The next agenda item are the results of our director elections. A call for nominations was published on the corporate website, in regional newspapers, and the Winnipeg Free Press in December of 2024. The 2025 elections took place from April 3rd to the 9th. We would like to thank all the candidates. We are pleased to announce that Justin Evenden, Robert Riddell, and Randy Shartner are all elected to 3-year terms. The next agenda item is the destruction of the ballots related to our director election. Terrace Babbitt moves to destroy the ballots and electronic records for the director elections within 30 days from today. I will now present this motion to membership. On your screen, there's a poll that asks if you're in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. Motion is carried. We also want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to both Jim Neufeld and Paul Cuthbert for their invaluable contributions to the board of directors. For many years, your dedication, wisdom, and contributions have been instrumental in guiding our organization to new heights, and you will both be missed, and we wish you well in future endeavors. The 2025 Board of Directors will include Terrace Babbitt, Scott Beattie, Catherine Burns, Justin Evenden, Kurt Letkeman, Jameson Moss, Marlene Michneau, Robert Riddell, Randy Shartner, and Sherry Woods. So the final item on our agenda before the meeting closure is member questions. At this time, we will answer any questions submitted, applicable questions, and as a reminder, questions should pertain to the overall operations of the credit union. If you require individual assistance to discuss or address personal business issues or concerns, please contact our Member Solutions Center or speak to a representative at your branch. We will begin with questions that have been submitted through the question and answer button at the bottom of your Zoom screens. Once those questions have been addressed, we will move to allow participants to unmute their lines. Myrna Weed will be reading all the questions that have been submitted. To ask a question again, please raise your hand later on in the meeting. So for now, Myrna, can you fill us in on any questions that have come forward?
Thanks, Kurt. We have a couple of questions in the queue right now. The first one is regarding Bitcoin. So this is the question is about the board's willingness to advocate and work with other credit unions and financial institutions regarding Bitcoin, the reserve, and lobbying for its adoption and forward looking into a financial safeguard. If you can address that.
Sure,
question.
it's yeah, I'll address it and maybe I'll turn it over to Larry as well. We Just had the Credit Union Central Manitoba Annual General Meeting the past 2 days, and there was a speaker there talking a bit about Bitcoin. And the reality is that Bitcoin is a much larger issue and initiative than any single credit union or even the credit union system as a whole. It continues to evolve, and be assured that the credit union system, both Access Manitoba and Canada, is closely following it. But at this point, there are just a lot of unknowns, and it'll be handled more so down the road from the larger institutions. Larry, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. The only thing I would add is the regulators in Manitoba and in other jurisdictions are also reviewing Bitcoin, and they will definitely provide guidance to the credit union on what they will allow going forward.
Thanks, Larry.
Great, thank you. The next question is regarding financial statements. It's a two-part question. The first question is operating expenses increased 19%, and they're looking for an explanation on that increase.
Okay, I can answer that, Kurt, if you're okay. The main reason for that is Carpathia and Casira credit unions joined us halfway through 2024 or 2023. And so their expenses were only shown for 6 months in our 2023 statements. They're demonstrated for the full year in 2024. When we compared year over year, including all of Casira and Carpathia on internal financials, the expenses moved very little year over year. And you'll continue to see that gaining efficiency as we go forward.
Thanks, Larry. And the second part of that question is explaining the administration expenses increased 47% on asset growth of 8.5%.
Correct. The biggest one, again, that's a two-part. One is we now had the full year from Casira and Carpathia. The second was increased in technology and increased in price per transaction on payments, which we were anticipating, but that is something that will continue as more and more technology is added.
Yeah, and again, Larry, that just shows how it is an expensive business to be in, and technology costs continue to rise, which is again why the benefits of being a larger organization and allowing us to absorb and spread these costs has really been beneficial to Access.
It's been a big help. It would have been difficult for some of the legacy credit unions to handle that rate increase.
Great, thank you. There's a question here regarding the voting tally for each director candidate. What I can tell you is that the complete total of all members that voted was 1,750 unique members that voted. We generally do not provide the individual voting numbers. We can tell you that they vary from 800 to 400.
The other thing, Myrna, was there was twice as many votes this year as there was last year. So it's great to see that member participation in the board of director vote.
The next question is regarding branch consolidation and the consideration of the pending closure for the Low Farm branch, as it provides strong and important services to its community. And if the board would like to speak directly to in a community forum, or if they are reconsidering any of the closures.
Yeah, I can speak to that. You know, the board looks at all branch closures and branch operations. And the reality is we are operating in a very unique system. When we look at some of our competitors, the largest competitor in Manitoba would probably have 3 branches, whereas Access has 50 plus. And you know, we really look to see a lot of things that go into these closures. One of the realities is also traffic. In some of the smaller branches, we run the numbers, and in some cases we have fewer than 10 members a day coming into some of these branches, which really makes it challenging to operate. And also it provides some security challenges, as we've had some unfortunate instances of robberies in the past few years, which has jeopardized the safety of our staff. So these are all things that play into it. Proximity to other branches in the nearby area plays into it. I'm reminded of a story a number of years ago. I was at a hockey game where my son was a referee. And this was actually in Dominion City. And after the game, I was talking to one of the parents who I asked what they were up to, and they said they were actually going to Winkler to go grocery shopping. And I said, Winkler, why are you going to Winkler to grocery shop when you live in Dominion City? And their comment was, well, we either go to Winkler or we go to Steinbach. So I found it interesting how somebody would drive 75 minutes to go grocery shopping and at the same time, sometimes have a difficulty to drive an extra 5 to 7 minutes to another access location. So it was interesting to see that perspective of how members are prepared to drive for things as simple as groceries. And branch closures is something we continue to take seriously. We look at all aspects of it, and Larry, I'll let you weigh in with any other additional thoughts or comments on that.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is we definitely research where members from each branch do go. And we often find members of smaller communities go to the next community. For Kurt's example, whether it's grocery shopping, whether it's some other type of shopping, whether it's medical appointments, and we find that their debit cards are used in that community. So we certainly, as Kurt say, we don't take it lightly, but at the same time, we're trying to provide the same competitive rates that are put forward by credit unions with much fewer number of branches.
Thank you. The next question is regarding two-step verification being brought into the web page or digital banking. I can take that question for you. Just to confirm and let you know that we are working hard with our third-party provider, and we're happy to announce that that will be in place later on this year, hopefully before the summer.
Thanks, Myrna. Any more questions?
There is a few more here.
Okay.
The one question here is regarding an actual in-person option for an annual meeting. Even publicly traded companies have both in-person and online option. Could this option be considered in the future as a way to connect with our members?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. I think, one of the challenges that we find is being as widely spread out as we are as an organization. Where do you host the meeting, and would having an in-person meeting be prohibitive? We've got members anywhere down from the Sprague, Vida area up past Gimli and west to western Manitoba, Miami, and further. So it really does make people driving into an annual general meeting somewhat challenging. Could there be a hybrid? Perhaps. It is something that we can continue to look at, but for now, we've found that having a virtual meeting seems to be the easiest to accommodate the vast majority of members. That said, if there are members who ever want to address something in person, by all means, reach out to senior leadership or to the staff and gladly sit down and talk about things in person.
There's a question here regarding what is the credit union doing to encourage diversity of nominees now and in the future for board members, as well as in senior management at the credit union? Are there routes for newcomers to get involved in working and learning with Access?
Yeah, it's a good question. Ultimately, the director election process is determined by the members and whoever puts their name forward as a candidate. I know the board is looking to diversify its board and its participation to reflect our members. And again, the reality is that ultimately it's up to the membership to decide who becomes the board, who's elected. But we definitely are open and encouraging people to consider putting their names forward. And if they have questions about becoming a board member, by all means, reach out. I know I had a conversation with an interested person just a couple of weeks ago to learn more about what's involved in becoming a potential Access director.
Thanks, Kurt. The next question is regarding how many and what % of members voted in the director elections. So I answered that a little bit earlier, about 1,730 members vote, or 1,750, pardon me, which is approximately 1% of the eligible voting members. There's another question here regarding director nominations, and that is what makes a candidate an endorsed candidate?
There's a process of evaluating the candidates. It's conducted actually through an outside firm that we contract with, who reviews the potential candidates, I guess, skill set and fit, social fit, and a number of things. I can't speak directly to it as I haven't been a part of that committee selection process. But it is a vetted process with an outside firm as well as with a couple of directors who sit on that through that process.
Larry, this question would be for you.
Okay.
What was the reason for the big increase in cash on hand at the end of the year?
Oh, okay. So let me just go scroll to that. Yeah, we ended up with a significant deposit at the end of the year. And it's just another point of how we're seeing a greater increase in our growth. And as a result, that money is now being lent out to our members locally.
Right.
And when we say cash on hand, it's not like we've got a big pile of tens and twenties that are lying around. It is basically a large deposit that has come in and just hasn't been, as Larry said, lent out yet or invested.
But we do have it invested at Credit Union Central.
The next question is about a specific branch, but I think if we can remove the specific branch, and it's talking about future branch closures or consolidations, and what would happen to the staff that are working at those branches.
One of the things we do is the consolidation is announced about 5 or 6 months before it occurs. And then through that process, we have turnover in different areas. We always guarantee the staff jobs within the organization. And we've been very successful in placing them in positions in close proximity to where they are presently.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that the organization can be proud of is throughout all the amalgamations that have happened, no one staff member has lost their job as a result of the amalgamation. So they've all been guaranteed roles within the organization, and is something to be proud of that we can continue to do that.
The next question, Kurt, is the ratio of Winnipeg and rural board members.
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go back to my my sheet here. I'm gonna think it's about 50-50 off the top of my
Yeah,
head, I
it's
think.
50.
Okay.
So 50% rural and 50% urban. There's a comment here, we like the Zoom meeting, but we could like to see the speakers next time, so we apologize for that little logistical glitch. We did get it fixed about halfway through, so thank you for that.
Well, after having seen me for 20 minutes, you're probably not missing much if the screen's off, so.
The next question, Kurt, is just regarding, are there branches that Access is looking at closing in Winnipeg? And this question is specifically Transcona, but I think we'll just keep it generic in Winnipeg.
Yeah, I think we're continually looking at our branch network. You know, what has happened with some of the amalgamations that we've done is credit unions have brought branches in very close proximity to each other. I think at one point there were 3 Access branches, probably within about a 5-7 minute drive of each other, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense to have that many branches in the same proximity, but you know, they would have been legacy from other credit unions. So, you know, we continue to look at what's the most effective and efficient use of our resources and to drive efficiency and to serve members properly.
And I would say one of the other things, Kurt, is most of the rural branches that we have are owned. So it does allow us to deal with those branches. We do have some within the city that we rent, and they're dictated by when the lease is up or if we can sublet them when we're looking to move out.
This question is more on the Patriots member rewards, and so it's noted here that it was stated that distribution was made to members on March 27th, but there was no deposit made to the account. So why would some members not get any distribution?
Yeah, so the distribution was actually done on surplus shares. Some of the legacy credit unions, that came into Access had surplus shares, or the members had surplus shares. Legacy Access paid out their surplus shares a number of years ago. So this is primarily the redemption of shares that were still outstanding. On the topic of surplus shares and patronage, the reality is that Credit Union Central and Deposit Guarantee requires that Access keep 6% of its assets in retained earnings as security to ensure the long-term viability of the credit union. You know, in a case of 2024, where Access grew by about $1 billion, that means that we have to put an extra $60 million into our equity just to maintain our capital levels and our requirements from Credit Union Central. And you'll note on the financial statement, you know, the profitability was actually just under 50 million. So in essence, any profit that we had during 2024 had to go straight to our equity to keep in line with the guidelines and the requirements of both the Credit Union Central and Deposit Guarantee.
Thank you, Kurt. We have a question here regarding where are the servers used located by Access? And if in Canada, is the hosting company Canadian or other?
I will let Myrna talk about that one.
So they are in Canada and they are hosted by Canadian companies. We have hand raised. There's a question from the floor for Butch Harder. Go ahead, Butch.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm a member, a 70-year member of the first English-speaking credit union in the province, and you have decided to shut us down. As an aside, those people that are bragging about how good the credit union is because they have 140 members at Alonzo or someplace, don't hold your breath. These guys will close you down at the drop of a hat. The board did not even have the courtesy to talk to our members about closing this credit union. And I've been involved with co-ops all of my life. And one of the basic principles of a co-op is member involvement. So tell me how this was member involvement. This is, you know, this is really an insult. And I read your report with some amusement, the message from the board, building communities, and the CEO report about future of communities. Now just tell me how this damned action you did to Lowell Farm is going to help our community. It's ridiculous. It's a damn shame. And you guys should, the board of directors should be totally ashamed of themselves. How did you have the balls to do this?
Well, I think, you know, the reality is, Butch, we have a responsibility to all 200,000 members of Access. And when we make a decision, it's taking the overall organization into account. And we can't just focus on specific areas. I know that Low Farm is an important aspect of the provincial credit union system. As you said, it was the first English-speaking credit union in Manitoba. And yeah, you know, when Legacy Access came together a number of years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, there was consideration about Low Farm and what happens with Low Farm, because at that time it was being sort of almost encroached on by Agassiz and Heartland and Dufferin, and Low Farm was brought into that Legacy Access to be a partner and to grow, as opposed to having to deal with these challenges about 10 to 15 years ago. So, you know, we do take it seriously. We honestly, you know, we can't go and talk to every member. As a cooperative, we have to look out for the entire organization, as I said, and we just can't focus on specific areas. But, you know, if you would like, I would gladly sit down with you in person to discuss this sometime in a one-on-one manner.
Thank you, Kurt. We have no, there are a couple of questions very specific to members' accounts and those types of things, and what we will do is we recorded those names, and we will have someone from your branch reach out to you directly. There's an additional question here. Was Access in compliance with all of DGCM's regulatory requirements at year end, and are we today?
Yes, we are.
Mr. Harder, if you have a follow-up question, we will unmute you for this point, or it may need to be a personal conversation with Kurt. But if you have a further question, we'll unmute you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
One of our largest employees in our community, since you closed us, has taken all their business to Rose North. And they told me, and I'm sure they don't have a problem sharing it, but they're part of the ex-Hutterite community, and I bet you all that business will go to Rose North. But if you guys don't care, that's fine. But they're extremely disappointed in what you have taken, and I just don't understand it. It's just shameful. I don't know how you people can live with yourselves.
Thanks for your comments. I do believe that our member services team has been in contact with a lot of the large accounts that were impacted. I can't get into the specifics of the process involved from an operational standpoint, because that is something that the board is not involved with. But I don't know if Larry, if there's anything you want to add to the process or.
No, what we've seen is the groups that we have that reach out to the members, they've done a great job. The members have had a lot of consideration and understanding of what has occurred and why it has occurred. And to date, we have not seen any sort of large impact. We've actually seen people moving significant amount of money to us, members who had money elsewhere.
Are there any other questions, Myrna?
That is all the questions that we have relative to the AGM.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for their questions. And as I mentioned earlier, if there are any items that directors or members would like to follow up at any time, by all means, reach out to myself or to any of the senior leadership, and we would gladly have a conversation with you. At this point, this concludes the agenda for the annual general meeting. And Jim Neufel moves that the meeting close. I will now present this motion to the membership. On your screen, there is a poll that asks if you are in favor or opposed to the motion. Please select your response and click submit. This motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned. Again, I want to thank you, the membership, for attending tonight's meeting and for your continued support of Access. You can be proud of what Access has done, not only within the system, but nationally, as it continues to be a significant player in the Canadian and Manitoba credit union system. I wish you all a good night and talk to you again soon.